Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week we talk about success and everything that goes along with it. You'll learn the principles of success, how to achieve success, and learn to overcome challenges that may be getting in the way of success in your life. You'll hear from Bill Napick, a radio personality and business development expert, along with insight from special guests. If you're ready to find your path to success or take the success you're enjoying to the next level, stay tuned. Successful Living with Bill Napick is on right now.
And welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick. I am Bill Napick, and today, Successful Living with Brett Hatfield. He is with Downunda Aquatic Environments. Brett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me.
And regular listeners hear your advertisement, and it's such a great advertisement because you not only are in the pool business, but I like how you call it aquatic environments. So let's tell people about your company if they don't know about it right now.
Sure, absolutely. So we actually consider ourselves a design company that will build. Because what you're stepping into in a backyard is it needs to be an extension of the inside. So we'll cover outdoor kitchens, landscaping, as well as the pool.
Indeed, and when we think about, certainly the pool, a lot of people think about, but when we think about the backyard, someone may have a brand new home, or they may have a home they've lived in for many years or just moved into. They look at that backyard and they think of what, sometimes, not everyone, but they think of what could be, what can be, right?
You know, what can be, you're only inhibited by your own imagination. So what can be is whatever it is that you want. I like to think of what it is that we design and build as an extension of your lifestyle. You're going to be, you spend time outside in those areas with family, with birthday parties, an engagement party. These are all family-oriented things. Your outdoors is only an extension from the indoors, and that's why as we go through the design process, we like to take a look at the types of materials, your design style from the inside, and pull that to the outside. We want something that is going to be cohesive and flow properly.
No doubt. And also, as it relates strictly to the pool for a second, the pool has the opportunity to add an additional element, just the fact of people looking at water. A lot of people want to live near the ocean, near the lake, and so forth, but we can actually put a pool in and look at that pool, and that gives us a certain mindset, whether we swim or not.
You know what? Water is cathartic. It's therapeutic. If we sit down and we think about, oh man, I've been working so hard and I want to go on vacation, we sit down and put ourselves on a beach somewhere in the tropics, or we're by a lake, or we're out in the middle of a lake fishing. We're doing things where we're relaxing, but we always seem to be around water. We don't think of ourselves somewhere in the landlocked at the top of a hotel. So yes, it is. Water is very cathartic. We try to encourage people not to get too fixated on the shape of the pool, because a lot of the design is how we frame it, the different types of textures that we use around it. Textures can be landscaping, textures can be tile. We can also use color, tone, tint, all of these kinds of things to change the feel and mood of a project.
That's right. Also, as we call this show Successful Living, I have to go back in my early days, which is kind of a while ago, and I grew up north, Brett, and that is where I grew up, having a pool in Pennsylvania, the capital, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Having a pool back then, it was for rich people. That was indeed one of the signs of success, just having a pool. So that right there is fascinating to me when we think about success and things like that. But it's so much more than that. And when I think about magazines, take an Architectural Digest, and I'm sure there's pool magazines, but there, as you said about the shape, there are all kinds of configurations and so many ways you can build a pool. Tell people about the possibilities. And let's talk about expectations when you meet potential customers and customers.
Sure. So the possibilities are endless. And I go back to what I said just a few moments ago, I refer to my clients that try not to focus too much on the shape of the pool. We want to create water movement, where there's different things that we can do with water movement, with volume. If you have a water feature, can make a lot of noise. There's a lot that we can do with light, the different types of light placings, up lighting in landscaping to create mood and ambience. Different kitchen designs that we're going to attach to the house will be freestanding. So in terms of expectations, just come along and keep an open mind. The other thing in terms of expectations and scope of work, we'd like to base our success on educating people. So if people are looking to build a pool, or at least start the process and have a discussion with somebody, it's important, I think, to find people that are willing to sit down and have that long discussion with you about expectations. So what does that mean exactly? What's the process going to look like? Is there going to be a lot of mess? How long will it take? Other expectations can be the types of materials that we use. What's this going to look like? Will it be rough? Will it be smooth? When you sit down and have a conversation as you go through the process, the building process, it can make it go a whole lot smoother, and it should be an enjoyable process for you.
And before we go any further, as we're talking, if you're near your computer, you can go to Downunda. That's DOWNUNDA pools.com. And as we talk, you can see some of the photographs of some of the work that you've done there, Brett. And in the meantime, as it would seem to me, a purchase of a pool or the enhancement of someone's backyard, whether it's a pool or otherwise, but we'll take the pool, that particular potential customer client has done a lot of research, because even the ones that may not be engineers or really think it through, I bet people do a lot of research. So before they meet you, they have a lot of, I know I would have a zillion questions. They probably have a lot of questions, a lot of things they've earmarked on their browser and pieces of paper in hand. So tell us about the very beginning. When you sit down, if you and I were to sit down, and how do you approach those expectations? And what's that first consultation of a pool?
The first consultation really is for you and I to sit down and have a relaxed chat to make sure that we can get on. Because as we go through the process, we're going to have a relationship, whether you want to or not. This process is going to take...
Because of the timing, right?
Because of the timing. Some projects will take a little less time than others. I'm never going to sit down and tell you that something is going to be shorter than it really is. I'm always going to over-exaggerate the time that it's going to take to get it done. And then when I get through in a faster amount of time, I'll get it done quicker. You appreciate that. So making sure that we don't overpromise. Once again, this is about expectations. A lot of people just, all they want to do is get your business. Just sit down, and I'm not frightened of losing anybody's business. Even if somebody chooses to go with another company, I will always be there to answer questions for you.
No doubt about it. So I also think that when we talk about putting a pool in my yard or anyone else's yard, there are also some people, Brett, how many times do you run into people that this is not the first pool they put in, where they've actually been through the process at another home? And what's that like?
Quite a few, actually. And you know what? I embrace that. Because if somebody has already been through the process, they have an expectation. They've got a good idea of what's going to happen, the timelines, what the mess is going to be, and that's why I will say, I'll blow my own trumpet, is that we get on really well, because we're usually a little more efficient. We keep our clients in the loop with what it is that we do. We don't build hundreds. We're not a volume builder. So as a result, I have my project managers actually on site every day. They're overseeing everything. This is another one of those expectations. This is in that conversation. The contractors that we use, why do we use this contractor? Is he insured? Do I have insurance? The more questions that you ask, the less stressful it will be, not only for you, but for me. Because if I can keep your stress level down, mine stays down. The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask.
And when we think about the timing, there are variables. Boy, weather has to be one of the most gigantic variables. But tell us about the variables, weather, and what other things relate to the time it takes.
That's a great question. Obviously, weather is probably one of the key factors. And so how does weather affect it? Okay, so we were scheduled for a particular phase on your project today or tomorrow, and it rains today. So it's not just my project that gets out of whack. There are some of the contractors are doing multiple projects, and we can kind of drill down that in the course of a conversation. But once it rains, it's not just like, well, it rained today, we'll have this phase done the following day. It pushes the schedule all the way out. The other thing is in terms of delays, it can be, since you bring up the weather, as the city of Houston has had issues with flooding. There are two divisions at the city of Houston, and it sounds a little redundant, but there's one is flood and one is storm. When you in areas that do require city permits, we have to do a calculation which is pervious, non-pervious coverage. Your home builder would have gone through this. If you're in a 100-year floodplain, we may have to build detention in your pool. If we have to go through a more rigorous permitting process, it can take longer.
I didn't even think of that one. What does that term mean, pervious?
So
in case I'm not the only one that doesn't know. There you go.
So pervious and non-pervious coverage. A pervious coverage would be a cover that goes over the ground that will allow moisture or water to penetrate through it. Non-pervious means that it is solid. You can't go through. So the non-pervious areas of your lot will be the footprint of the home on the lot, the footprint of the driveway, all the paths, the garage, those kinds of things. So what we'll do is we'll do a calculation and determine what the percentages are. If we go over once we install the pool, because surprisingly enough, our swimming pool is not calculated as non-pervious, even though it's a containment for water. And in situations, if we raise a pool out of the ground in areas where they're in the 100-year floodplain, we have to compensate for the amount of area that we're taking up in that airspace, and actually build detention somewhere on the lot. So we calculate the amount of rainfall that we have for the area, the area of the roof, where that water is all going to. The city wants to know where's that going, where's that water going, how much is it, and what are you going to do with it?
Wow, so many things to think about. So give us an idea. We sit down, we talk about the expectations, and and I'll use this term, I know there's no average, but we'll take an average size pool on an average size lot. So let's say we determine, I want this design, you show me the designs, we decide on that, and let's say we don't have major flooding or just a whole bunch of rain, but an average amount average amount of rain. How long, and what's the best time of year, by the way, to build a pool, but how long would it take where we can go swimming from that first consultation?
From the first, idea. So let's assume it's a perfect world. Everything goes well. We go through a 2 to 3 week design and an estimate phase, and we get started. So from the time that we agree to completion on an average size project can be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks.
But that's not bad at all. Now, if there are problems such as weather, where we really have had some crazy weather these last few years, but then it goes to what? A couple months, maybe 3 months?
It can stretch out a little more.
And like you said earlier, therein lies the relationship part. You really need to have the right person working on this, a company like yourself, an individual like yourself, where you consult and you're keeping that communication line open all the time so that if things are going well, boy, that's a great conversation. If things aren't going well, at least you're telling everybody what's going on, why, and then here's our next step and how we recover from the delay or whatever the problem is.
Dealing with the issues as they come along. It's not a perfect world that we live in. It's a handmade product. It's not something that's machined in a shop and you can go and take it off the shelf and screw it on and it all fits perfect and it works and it's a wonderful world. So we run into issues out there. We run into pipes, we run into different things that are under the ground, and sometimes there's this conversation. Well, this is you're building the pool. This is your issue. But my counter to that is, well, if we run into a box of gold down there, is that mine or is it
there
yours?
You go. I bet it's theirs. But in the meantime, I like what you just said, handmade, because I never thought about that. Truly, there is a premium on something that's handmade. And indeed, when you factor in, just as you, and I know there's more, but just the things you've mentioned already, from the soil to the weather to the sizes and permits, man, that puts another element on the aspect of the handmade. It makes it so much more important.
You take your tile and coping guy. All these people are out there during the summer. The contractors want to associate themselves with large builders. Why? Because they're all out there making money. During the summer, make hay while the sun shines. So they're down there blowing and going. And, we have one guy that I call my employee because he only works for me. So what's the difference is that he will spend literally a day to a day and a half on my projects with a tape and a level. And he'll come back to me with the report. Brett, this is not level. This is not here. Because once again, it's not poured in place with the gunite. It's hand-shaped. It's not going to be absolutely perfect. So in order to take those minor imperfections out, could we go down there and get away with it? Most people have absolutely no idea what they're looking for when they get down and start to take a close look at their pool. I can get down there and I'll look down a wall and go, man, what did they do wrong? Why didn't they do this? So once again, I come back to my guy will come in there and he'll float that wall. We seal. Once again, you get into efflorescence. This is the difference between a really inexpensive project and somebody who deals with detail. In some pools, you go to a public pool or whatever, and you've seen what they call efflorescence, that hard white calcium buildup in the tile. And the interesting thing about that, you never see it under the waterline. It doesn't appear under the waterline. It appears where you have ambient air and water. And what happens is that draws the calcium chloride out of the concrete. Calcium chloride is in concrete. It makes it go hard. And so it manifests itself as this hard white calcium buildup. I will never, ever say I can prevent that from coming and it'll never happen in your project. But we take steps to help prevent that from happening. How? We use Hydroban. Hydroban costs me around about $400 per 5-gallon bucket. So we'll go around and we'll do the waterline beam to the pool and seal that with a 16 mil membrane of Hydroban. Why? To help prevent pulling that calcium chloride out and manifesting itself as a calcium buildup on your pool.
Another image I have, too, when you fly in or out of Houston, and I relate back my experience from up north, that was a premium to have a pool up north in Pennsylvania. However, here in Houston, when you fly in and out, there's tons of pools, right? You see them all the time. But let's go back to the idea with the last 5 minutes or so about the timing of the year. Is there a better time to build a pool? To me, I'm thinking, here we are with what we'll call fall in Houston. I bet this is a tremendous time.
Everybody has a different idea of what's a good time. My idea is, why wouldn't you do this right after Christmas? Christmas holidays are out of the way. Family's gone. So now we've got January, February, March. It's still too cold where you're not using your backyard. For no other reason, that's why I would suggest that's a really good time to build, because if you sit down and consider you've got an 8-week or a 10, 12-week project, depending upon the size, you can then be ready and swimming for summer. In terms of, does it have any impact because the contractors, want to stay busy? For me, it really doesn't. We're not a volume builder. I don't build hundreds and hundreds of projects. We keep it really simple. I only build what I can manage at one time. And so for me, we do build year round. We don't slow down. So it doesn't make any difference to me. To you, the decision would be, let me wait till right after Christmas with everybody's out of the house. It's colder. I'm not going to spend much time outside. This would be a good time to build.
I say nice and steady. That sounds, actually, this is my favorite time of year to do stuff like that and to buy real estate, by the way. Yeah. In the meantime, also, you're talking about projects, and you're not a volume builder, but you're doing each one in a very special way, in a handmade way, with meticulous attention to detail. Now, you do at least more than one project at a time, but how do you, from a success standpoint, how do you keep all this together depending on other people? You have your crew, you have all these considerations with the ground, dealing with the client that you're serving? How do you keep, just give us a few success tips.
I've been doing this for a long time, and have I made mistakes? Boy, I sure have. I've always gone back and we've rectified any mistakes that we've made, and we've taken care of it. But we've also, more importantly, learnt from our mistakes. So we have a system. We have a system in place, and it works. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, but it works for us. And so we're always looking at it, revising it, and working our systems to help eliminate the problems as they come along.
And I don't know if we said this or not, but you have had 25 years of experience in the pool business in Houston, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, 25 years in design. I keep going back. I like to think that we're a design company that will build. At the end of the day, it is about design. It's about how we move people through that environment. It's about creating spaces, creating movement.
And we are talking with Brett Hatfield. He is the president and owner of Downunda Aquatic Environments. That's Downunda, D-A, pools.com. You can go there. Also, give them the phone number, Brett, as people are listening, if they want to call you.
If they can call me anytime, and I'm happy to sit down and just have even a brief discussion over the phone, once again, to give you an idea of expectations of the process and what's going on. But please, give me a call, 281-236-4344.
One more time.
281-236-4344.
And Brett, there's so much to talk about, but before we finish the show, also give us a word about the other things. We've focused a lot on pools, but boy, if you have that area and you want to have an outdoor kitchen, you got that covered too.
You know what? Even if you don't
Fountains.
There you go.
I love it. You can't have a pool. I can't afford the pool, but how about a fountain?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, look, I keep going. Water is cathartic. Everything that we do in life, life is water. Without water, there is no life. So if you sit down and think about it in that way, it's really kind of interesting. I like the movement of water, the sound of water. And so, yes, we do build outdoor kitchens. So, if a pool is not in your wheelhouse, it's not something that you want to deal with, but you would like us to come out there and still design an outdoor environment, kitchen, patios, we would be happy to talk to you and put something together.
And again, that is at Downunda, DOWNUNDA pools.com. You can go there. You can call Brett at 281-236-4344 and talk to the owner of the company and someone with over 25 years experience. One last word, Brett. 2017 is upon us. How do you think that's going to be?
You know what? I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting beyond our election process. I'm seeing the smatterings out there. I network a lot with real estate people and with oil people, and I'm seeing that there's going to be an uptick in the oil industry. I think 2017 is going to be an extremely positive year.
It's a great year to take a swim. That's right. Down Under, Brett Hatfield, 281-236-4344, downundapools.com. Check out the promo right after the show. And thank you for listening to Successful Living. We're coming right back next week. And until then, thanks for listening. Thank you, Brett.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
Downunda Pools can help make your backyard a focal point for luxury outdoor living. Imagine coming home from a hard day's work and enjoying the evening in a spa-like environment with pool, water features, and lighting integrated seamlessly into your home and landscaping design. Downunda's design team has a seasoned eye for color, scale, proportion, and detail. Even more important is Downunda's commitment to the highest quality construction practices to achieve the highest standards of hydraulic and structural integrity. Downunda is one of the most creative and trusted pool and landscape builders in Houston because of their award-winning design and construction and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Visit downundapools.com to see examples of what could be in your backyard. That's DOWNUNDA pools.com. Down Under. Pools for the mind, body, and soul.